Hello, I'm Dr. Lee Merritt. You can find me at themedicalrebel.com. I'm also on Rumble at the Medical Rebel channel. And this video is about parasite protocols, how to rid yourself of parasites. And I'm going to explain to you in this video why I think it's critical. We all do this now, why it helps people with or without having taken the vaccine. And I'm going to tell you the ins and outs and some of the subtleties of doing that. Okay, so I call it the parasite paradigm. A paradigm is really a way of looking at something. And the problem we have is we are living in a viral paradigm, and we need to get out of that. That's a false paradigm. It makes you look at things the wrong way. It's like the magician that waves his hand over to the right while he's picking your pocket over to the left. In this case, they're killing us. So let's change our worldview a little bit, and I'm going to explain here why I think that's necessary and what this means. So I want to thank my colleagues in the medical freedom movement, I guess I would call it, Celeste Solem and Karen Kingston for her, Celeste is a former FEMA, and she's been doing a lot of work looking at the DARPA literature and exposing a lot of technology things. Karen Kingston, Pfizer whistleblower, has been looking at old literature and patents and putting it all together. The 5 docs, I think you all knew who they are, and we all talk about this every month. Brian Artis, who's a chiropractor that's been instrumental in lots of good discussions about COVID, and specifically got me thinking a little differently about parasites. So I thank him a lot. So here we go. Now, from the beginning, I never believed this was an airborne virus. I thought this was a contact poison or toxin. Keep in mind, virus in Latin does not mean little animalcule that flies out of your mouth and makes other people sick. Virus means toxin. We need to start changing our language to changing our understanding. That when we get sick and we sneezing and wheezing and coughing, something we say we got a cold. You didn't catch a cold. You're toxic, and you're getting rid of the toxins. Venom doesn't fit. I had this discussion with Brian Artis. I'm not saying there isn't some part of this whole venom thing that fits in here. Certainly the Nicorette gum is a good idea, but it's not the major causing disease. It doesn't fit what we saw clinically. If venom were the problem, then children would have died and adults would have lived. That isn't right. Now, the other thing I realized that there was a problem about was this mRNA technology. Besides all the literature that showed how dangerous it was, how bad it was on all the animal studies, and was still bad, by the way, they're still doing animal studies for cancer therapies using mRNA, and the animals are still dying. Don't think that's past tense. It's just too expensive. I mean, they claim that the one mRNA technology they've actually gotten to market was a technology that was for some ophthalmologic issue. I can't remember what it was, but it was for some ophthalmologic issue. And the cost was in 2018, the cost was almost $1 million for a treatment. How did they suddenly, within 2 years, supply billions of doses at less than $30 a dose? You tell me. That doesn't make sense. So there are things that don't make sense with what's happening here. Then we started seeing this, and I'm going to play a little bit of this video. This is a video that dropped from a compilation of different things, but it's primarily German researchers showing you that cancer is a parasitical infection. And these are not the only people that say this, by the way.
And in this video, we're going to show you the video microscopy of those microparasites, how they behave, and why there is indisputable proof that cancer indeed is a microparasitical infection, and that mainstream cancer research has not recognized it yet as such. And this theory was put forward by Dr. Weber and some other scientists from the Max von Pettenkofer Institute, a very renowned institute in Munich, Germany, and unfortunately has not gained much traction despite the proof that you're gonna see in this video. So without further ado, let's watch the video and what those scientists have observed, and you can see for yourself and make up your own opinion and mind. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about some implications of that proof and some consequences that we can draw from it, and how we should behave and how we should treat cancer patients therefore. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video proof of cancer as a parasitical infection. Let's go more than 30 years back in time. At the renowned Patent Cover Institute in Munich, Germany, three German medical doctors, Dr. Übing, Schiertz, and Dr. Winter, were busy studying strange objects in human blood. They published their results in the renowned scientific journal Ärztliche Praxis under the title Unusual Corpuscular Elements in Blood.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there on the recording, but you can see that these people are serious scientists. They've looked at it. This has been going on for decades, and we have not been aware of it. I recommend you watch that whole video. The sound kind of goes in and out, but I recommend. Paradigm fits the religious belief of the psychopaths giving us this. I will tell you that the people that go back to the ancient times of the religion that goes back to ancient Babylon, this actually is an idea that from the Babylonian Talmud, they call it, and it's an idea that I'm not guilty if I don't directly kill you. If I tie you up on, this is an example, I believe, directly from the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud, you tie somebody up on the floor in their kitchen so they can't feed themselves and they die of starvation, I'm not morally responsible. But in this case, I didn't kill you, your parasites killed you. I know that sounds a little odd, but I think it goes along with everything else in this whole mess. So here's my parasite worldview hypothesis. Okay. Parasites slowly increase in your body over a lifetime. The mother worm lays 20 to 200,000 eggs a day. And it doesn't necessarily need to be worms. These could be microscopic. If there are any general surgeons out there, I know what you're saying. I open up the gut all the time and I don't see parasites because these are intracellular parasites or microscopic parasites. Occasionally, you have actual gut parasites, and they are higher up where general, for the most part. So over a lifetime, to me, they know, but they can't speak or they'll lose their funding. But as the autoimmune disease, the point is, as you get older and your immune system is overtaxed, kind of like a computer that's got too many things running in the background, it can't keep these all in control. And then we start seeing autoimmune disease. And when you get a little older, we start seeing cancer. Now, this is like the Roman Empire. This is my metaphor. When the Roman Empire was small, the center was harder. outbreak. First, you had on the left of this bell-shaped curve, phase 1 of the war against humanity here, the biowar. Phase 1 was spread this gel around in Wuhan and then in Lombardy and then in New York City. I can tell you in my state of Iowa, a friend of mine looked at the outbreaks of COVID and they came right along Highway 80 up which goes east to west across the state, right across the state in kind of a regular pattern. These outbreaks went, that wasn't all over the state randomly. It was right up Highway 80 primarily. Those were the big outbreaks. Okay. And then they turned on the 5G in Wuhan and made it look really scary. But then I was graphing every day the death count, and you could see that the death count started to go back down in America and in other countries, just like a normal seasonal death season, right? But they then implemented these fake PCR tests to convince everybody that, oh, it was all over the place. It was getting worse, even in the face of diminishing death. Okay, it was getting worse and everybody had to be afraid. Clotting, causing low formation and probably clotting. But those are the normal clots. What we're seeing later that the morticians are taking out of people are these big, whitish, rubbery, weird clots. That would go along with the hydrogel. Okay. And this is the idea that this thing is conformable, that 5G makes it change its 3D spatial shape. And that now can hook in and make you sick because they can turn the disease on and off to some degree. And that, oh, by the way, and that depends on how many 5G nodes they have, right? So the solution to this is to not allow them to build 1 million 5G towers and take down the Starlink. And in the short term, to do EMF mitigation, which I'm going to mention. But really, the quickest thing we can do right now is anti-parasiticals. And that's why I made this video. And now I'm going to tell you how to do it. Now well, in a couple minutes, I got this to say. So here's a picture of parasites in the bloodstream. The little round things are your red blood cells, and the little purple things are stained. Those look like trypanosomes, but they're a small parasite, right, that swims around in you. Now, all parasites are not in the bloodstream. Parasites encysted, and these are some pictures of encystment of parasites. Here's one in the muscle that could be like, oh, there's a bunch of them that do that, but the classic one is the pork tapeworm and the pork trichinosis parasite that can encysted in the muscle like that. And then in the far right, we have a brain that has a little white lesion there. That's a parasitic cyst in the brain. And here's a guy that's obviously dead because this is a pathology specimen. And this is multiple cysts in the brain. The most common reason for that is cysticercosis, or it's a tapeworm that's very common in Mexico and in South America. So that's what it does to your brain. So the point is we have to not only destroy the parasites that you could see in your stool sometimes or in your blood, but we must destroy the cysts. And here's how we do it. So, we need medicines. I love the fact that, remember George Carlin used to have the 7 words, dirty words you couldn't say on TV. And well, now you can say them all, but you cannot say nitazoxanide, chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, fenbendazole, or chlorine dioxide. In fact, you'll go to jail for chlorine dioxide. So anything I say from now on is not meant as official medical advice. This is what I do for myself. If it's an educational program, you can choose what you're going to do for yourself. Now, to get rid of parasites, I did this. I used 2 drugs. I used fenbendazole, which is Panacur C. That is the common drug that people take they go to the vet, and their vet does for their dog worming, right? We used to use that, and we still do, for farmers. They use it for cattle, and they used to worm themselves. But unfortunately, they're not worming themselves as much. Now, the other drug I use is nitazoxanide. Now, I'll tell you why I decided to use nitazoxanide. I chose those 2 drugs because fenbendazole gets into the brain and nitazoxanide takes out Hydra. One of the things, when I first saw that little creature that Carrie Made found under the slide that was moving, we both thought it looked like it could be Hydra or something like that. And I said, so I decided to look up Hydra. Hydra, it turns out, is a freshwater parasite that contaminates people's aquariums. And people use nitazoxanide to clean out the Hydra in their aquarium. So I looked up nitazoxanide. It turns out it's a super duper parasite drug. They have done 4 grams of one-time liquid fenbendazole to humans and without toxicity. None of this stuff is highly toxic. It's very well tolerated, okay? Now, so that was what I did, and I used these 2 drugs. Now, here's how I did it, okay? Cyclic therapy. And so use at least 2 drugs. So you're getting 1 into the brain at least, and you're getting 1 into the cysts, which is also fenbendazole does the brain and the cysts, and nitazoxanide is the best for gut parasites. That's my personal protocol. You might be able to do research and find a better combination. If you have ivermectin, I know ivermectin works, but I don't know as much about ivermectin and parasites as I do about ivermectin and COVID, and you can look that up. Okay, so this is why you cycle the treatment. So you start out with mother parasite and her babies, and the mother has laid these eggs and they're encysted in you. Now, the mother doesn't want to suddenly have to fight for 1 million baby parasites in order to not, in order to be alive in your gut or wherever she is. So she puts out a hormone that keeps the baby parasites from encysting into the it's not just randomly, it's not going to really do it. You have to take enough to kill the parasite, the mother parasite. Then you have to wait a specific waiting time until you do it again. And if you wait too long, you're going to have all these baby parasites hatch out, and then you're going to kill them at your next time you take the parasite medicine. And you will not be a happy camper, because what it does, these dead parasites in your body will give you an IgE histamine reaction. And that's what gives you cold. That's what cold is essentially. You're getting watery eyes, sneezing, and you can get muscle aches and pains and fatigue, and you can feel like you have, quote, the flu, but it's just dead parasites. This is why we have to change our speech, because it's all toxins, okay? Dead parasites are toxins, okay? So this is what happens. So the key is dioxide, a simple guide.